Prime.
A warm welcome to our viewers from around Ghana and beyond, as well as our global viewers, especially those watching across Europe on ABN television. This is Joy News Prime. In this edition, Tuesday, downpour causes flooding in parts of Accra and the death of a 20-year-old at Agege. Supreme Court Judge nominee Justice Apal explains his difficulty in convicting suspects charged with murder of Dagbon overlord and why he eventually had to let them off the hook. Technical committee working on conditions of service for health sector workers hands over report to government days after the Ghana Medical Association threatened doctors will resign en masse if their terms of engagement are not finalized by next month. Pressure group Occupy Ghana demands full disclosure of findings of investigative committees on Jada scandal. And President of Football's governing body, FIFA, announces resignation. Also coming up in the next 60 minutes, business and international news. Do stay tuned. Our very first story, pressure group Occupy Ghana has presented a list of demands centered around investigations into financial malfeasance, among other issues, at the National Youth Employment Program and the Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency, JADA. The group says the investigative report on the scandal, occasioned by serialized Joy News reports exposing corruption and plain stealing at the agency, requested the ministry to take some steps and is asking the ministry to supply it with information regarding what steps it has taken since the release of the report in 2013. Speaking on Joy FM Super Morning Show today, member of the group, Asan Kuma, says they intend to go to court if their requests are not forthcoming.
Ever since the Constitution came into effect, into force, the Auditor General has released reports. Each of those reports highlights many, quote, chopping, unquote, of our money. And that report then gets some little treatment by the Public Accounts Committee and goes to rest. Now, this is the danger, people of Ghana. Every money that you are owed and which you do not collect in 6 years is dead. You can't collect it again. So all this fight that we are fighting, we can only rescue monies that were spent 6 years ago. And so every day that the government does not take action to recover these monies, we are losing money. Let's not bury our heads into the intestines of partisan politics, but let's look at this nation beyond that. Look, the Auditor General himself has said he's frustrated. It's in his report. He comes up with a report every year. Nothing happens. Impotency. It goes to Parliament. Parliament will bring GTV cameras, live Public Accounts Committee reports. Nothing happens. The Chief Justice says, I have set up the courts to try these people. Not a single case has been put before them. There is something wrong with the system, and we have to fix it. And if the government will not do it, guess what, people of Ghana? Your constitution gives you the power to fix it. Occupy Ghana is doing what it can. Our first anniversary is coming up. More issues are going to come up. If each of us does a little, together, we can do a lot. The tree is poisoned. We have to fix it. And it's for you and I to do it. And that's why Occupy Ghana does what it does. Let the chips fall where they may. We will do what we have to do.
Wow, okay.
Now, the technical committee working on the conditions of service for health service workers has presented its report to the Ministries of Health and Employment and Labour Relations. The report, which spells out the terms and conditions of health service workers, is expected to be presented to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission by June 12 for negotiations and implementation. The handover of the report comes on the heels of a threat by the country's doctors to resign en masse over the delay by government to institute their conditions of service.
The Ghana Medical Association had earlier threatened to declare themselves out of job over government's delay in finishing them with their conditions of service, which will detail their terms of engagement, both financial and non-financial. The Health Minister, Alex Egbefia, says negotiations will begin immediately.
It is clear that now that we have this document, we will study it, ensure that others also will have a look at it, in terms of other institutions and organizations. And once they have done their bit, we will have a document that can be signed by all stakeholders involved in the process, and this will then bring this phase of affairs to an end. And that gives sufficient time for the other agencies to have a look at it, namely the Public Service Department, the Attorney General's Department, and fair wages and salaries. So once they also have some input into it, we are hopeful that we will be in a position to have a document ready for signing very shortly.
Employment and Labour Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu, however, says the process has nothing to do with the threats by the Ghana Medical Association.
Let me assure the GMA that we as government, we are not doing this because of a threat of a strike action, not at all. We are bequeathing to health workers unacceptable conditions of service to be negotiated because we believe it's the right thing to do as a government and a deserving thing and appropriate thing for all health workers. Matters relating to transfer, promotion, salaries, allowances must naturally be determined within an acceptable framework within our labor rules and regulations.
It's not smiling. No, I'm a witness.
The Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Justice Yankson, meanwhile maintains the association stands by its June 30 deadline to have its members resign en masse if they are not furnished with the conditions of service.
What really matters is the details that will be negotiated by the various groups. Let's say GMA goes to negotiate something on behalf of the doctors. It is the details that we will negotiate and sign that is really what is important. Well, we have made our statements known to the whole world. So we are just cooperating with the processes such that come the day of our deadline, everything would have been satisfied by then.
Which the deadline is 12 June?
No, we said 30th June. We communicated that as far back as November 2014, and we are still on course. We think that we'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt and make sure that the document is well sorted out. I'm just hoping that things will progress between now and the 30th of June, that's all.
Patients of one of the wards at the Accident and Emergency Center of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital had to be evacuated at dawn today after rainwater on the roof found its way into the unit. Some of the patients temporarily relocated to the verandas until arrangements were made for them to be attached to adjoining wards. Joy News' Hannah Odame reports the Orthopedic Theatre and Recovery Ward, where the incident happened, has since been shut down.
It is not clear how the ward got flooded. While nurses who refused to go on record said the roof caved in during the downpour, officials said part of the roof was removed to avert a disaster.
There was a duct on the roof that was supposed to carry water down, and there was a blockage in one of the pipes that was actually supposed to carry the water away from the roof. So the engineers went up and they were able to break that place to stop the seepage of water into the theatre. So at the moment we've moved the patients who were in that theatre and recovery ward to the accident center theatre itself. There are those are the two remaining theatres, but at the moment there's no leakage into the place. The engineers are working to replace the block pipe so that when it rains again, we will not have that incident.
The nurses who spoke to Joy News, however, insist they had severally reported of cracks in the roof since the beginning of the year, but authorities failed to act on them. Orderlies could be seen sweeping away the water from the Orthopedic Theatre and Recovery Ward through the reception area. A gentleman who brought in a patient was in the ward when the incident occurred.
And we came here around 2 o'clock, we got a patient, and we came to meet patients sitting outside in the rain. And then the theater, the ceiling of the theater is broken, and the rain is all over the place. They are now sweeping the place, trying to mop. And we couldn't even secure a bed for our patients. As at 2 o'clock, there weren't people to attend to us. We had to beg for beds. Is this the kind of Ghana we are looking at to? Is this the kind of Ghana we want to be in? So we spent almost 45 hours unattended to before we had a place.
So where are the patients who were in the theater?
the patients in the theater have been moved to another ward because the place is flooding now. They can't be there. Some of the beds are very soaked.
When Joy News eventually gained access to the ward, portions of the ceiling were falling off and there was water still dripping through. A bed directly under the affected area of the roof had been moved away. Meanwhile, Public Relations Officer Mustafa Salifu said the ward should be opened on Wednesday.
The machines were evacuated into a safe area, so no machine has been affected in this leakage.
So how soon should we see the duct that you talk about repaired?
Oh, it's just a pipe that the engineers are working. I'm sure from tomorrow going we will have that replaced.
Okay, so the patients have been transferred to another theater?
Yes. They've cleaned up the place, it has been disinfected, and I'm sure tomorrow they can move him again.
Hannah Odame, Joy News, Korle-Bu.
The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority has denied enforcing the controversial directives on seatbelts in commercial vehicles and acquisition of driver's licenses. Commercial drivers in several parts of Accra refused to operate on Monday in protest against the directive, leaving many commuters stranded as a result. Chief Executive of the DVLA, Rudolph Beckley, at a news conference earlier today, assured the drivers the law is yet to be enforced and urged them to come to the authority with their grievances. Our Director of Training and Testing, C.W. Musa, explained the form of training for existing drivers in the acquisition and the renewal of drivers. Let's hear from the Chief Executive of the DVLA, Rudolph Beckley.
We are going to introduce onto our examination platform, like you rightly said, some language structures, so that when you come there, if you want the questions to be asked to you in Twi, all you need to do is to press Twi, and the questions are asked to you in Twi, and the possible answers are also provided in Twi. All you have to do is to tap on the correct one, and off you go. These are the interventions we are bringing on board to ensure that we do not deny anybody who has that skill to be able to manage the vehicle very well. I mentioned in my speech that we, as part of the timeline that we have put together for this particular seatbelt implementation project, we have the first week of June for the fitting of seatbelts. For the fitting of seatbelts and not for the enforcement on the use of seatbelts. These are two clearly distinct interventions or measures. We are talking about first and foremost fitting the belts before.
Let's now hear from the Director of Training and Testing, C.W. Musa, who explaining the form of training for existing drivers in the acquisition and renewal of driver's licenses.
And we are saying that, yes, the people who are already drivers and are illiterate, you will continue to be in the system until thy kingdom come, your time comes. But those who are coming in, let the standards start with them. So we are not against those people who are already in the system that are illiterate. They will be there. All drivers who want to drive commercial vehicles, commercial, because you are carrying people and they are paying for your services, you should have some measure of knowledge. And it's saying that before we allow you to drive people for money, every year the association for which you belong shall organize training sessions for you. It is not DVLA. It is not that we are saying go to a DVLA school. We are saying that your institution, your organization will organize training classes for you. And these are refresher skill building classes. Then you will come and present to us a document of participation that you have participated in these training programs.
For existing drivers.
For existing drivers, but that is yet to come. We have not even started. So we will have to educate the public yet before we introduce that.
Now, the opposition New Patriotic Party has refuted media reports that the office of its General Secretary Kwabena Ejapong has been vandalized. Photos of the supposed vandalism of the office have been making the rounds on social media, with linkages to the rift between the General Secretary and the National Chairman on one side and the rest of the party on the other. The party, in a statement signed by Communications Director Nana Akomia, however, described the reports and the accompanying photographs as false. According to Nana Akomia, contrary to the publications, Mr. Ejapong's office at the party headquarters is intact. He explained the photographs making the rounds were taken in the immediate aftermath of the death of the Upper East Regional Chairman of the NPP, Adams Mahama, after some frustrated party youth attacked and vandalized the office of the Secretary to Kwabena Japan. Nana Kumia said the attacks were regrettable and stressed investigations were underway to deal with the perpetrators of the act. Now, staying with politics, officials of the Convention People's Party and the People's National Convention say they are set to merge as one party. However, deliberations of the new party symbol and name are still ongoing. Representatives of the PNC and CPP were on the pause earlier, defending the notion they cannot be taken seriously by the Ghanaian electorate.
This thing has been running since 1996, if I remember very well. You see, we've always come to a point where we are almost there at signing an agreement, then we come back and it's either symbol or name. Symbol, something.
Okay, so you always have it.
Something very flimsy.
There's always a disagreement on symbol and name.
Or name. And this time around, the parties have done something that we've not done in the past, setting up a committee, a 6-member committee from each party to sit down and look at ways we could merge. If it's not a merger, it's an alliance, what are the ingredients of those alliances we're talking about? And we sent a report, and as you've read in the media, this is as a result of that committee. We are saying it's unfortunate that PNC have also announced Congress date, CPP have announced theirs, they have already started electing regional officers. We should have done that together. But notwithstanding that we've taken off separately, it still shouldn't prevent us from coming together.
We didn't have to consult PNC to come out on EPA, to come out on GMO, to speak on IMF, to attack, how do you call it, the only paid opposition in this country for their lack of alternatives. You heard Oseche Mensah-Bonsu defending the reckless policy direction of President Mahama in deciding to choose Chinese carpenters and masons over Ghanaians. We found it very irresponsible. So, I mean, we have done what we have to do as an entity, CPP. The two parties came together to say that, look, can we go for a joint national congress that would elect joint, how do you call it, national leadership? Can we go for a second one that would elect, how do you call it, a flag bearer? Where if the flag bearer is coming from, let's say, the PNC, then what we are going to do is that we have PNC, I mean, on the ticket, and all of us would rally behind.
One problem we had with constitutionality was whether we could merge or not. And it's a
You're watching Joy News Prime. Still to come in the bulletin, we'll be looking at Tuesday's downpour, which has caused flooding in parts of Accra and the death of 20. Now, flood victims are Teshi here in Accra asking government, as a matter of urgency, to pull down structures in waterways in the area. Scores of residents were rendered homeless after hours of downpour today. Joy News is quitting to visit the area and report.
For hours, these residents who got trapped in their building have been scooping water that had flooded their rooms. Their dilemma is where to sleep tonight. Volumes of rainwater after hours of torrential rains collapsed several walls that served as defense to the houses here. They have been rendered homeless, the residents say.
We dey pack all my shoes and my slippers all to the chair inside. But today, I see my wife coming. I'll sleep on my dressing, my bed. Come and see. The waterway they come here, no be easy, no be that waterway they come here. So my wife call me. I wake up, I say, hey! I did the room, the water come into my waist. Yeah. I don't know the place I will put my picking to.
They blame their plight on a fence wall constructed by the State Housing Company on a waterway, and that is the reason why a number of houses in Teshinungwa Estate were flooded. These worried residents were forced to vacate their rooms when rainwater submerged the building. According to them, they would spend the night in these two vehicles they have been seeking refuge in since they were driven out of their homes.
State Housing, they constructed this place, you see, so they left a portion for waters to flow when there is a heavy downpour. And they constructed a gutter there. And now that the human activities are too much over here, the water that flows through the gutter when there is downpour is not enough to carry the waters. And people have encroached on the waterways, building structures on the waterways. Just look at this wall that has brought this disaster. State Housing, they came to build a fence wall, blocking all the waterways, that they are securing their land. And when the rain fell, before we see, look at all these walls. It has broken everybody's wall.
Part of the Nungwateshi Road were also badly affected by the floods. The resident insists the demolition of buildings in waterways are necessary to avert future floods. For Joy News, Kwetenate, Teshi.
Well, elsewhere, the rains claimed the life of a 20-year-old woman at Agege, a suburb of Accra. Residents in the area woke up to see the young woman's foot sticking out of an overflowing gutter. Francis Aban has been monitoring the effects of today's downpour and has filed this report.
We do know from some residents around that she actually fell into this gutter and lost her life. Let's get some more details from someone who saw it happen.
She's a resident in the area, just a girl around, you know.
Okay. Which school does she attend?
She attended school around here, but now I think they said she's at GIG.
GIG?
Yeah, so she was on her way to school.
Okay. Is this the first time there's been an incident of somebody falling into this gutter when it rains?
Yeah, first time.
First time.
I can recall a similar incident about a schoolgirl who nearly got drowned. It took the timely intervention of a hairdresser to rescue her.
I'm at the family house of 20-year-old Frida. She died this morning after falling into a gutter on a very, very rainy morning. The house, everyone here is sobbing, crying, in shock and at, confusion, don't understand what has happened here as to why their relative has passed on so painfully. The mother is here in uncontrollable tears, but she's granted us the interview to be able to speak to her and find out what she makes of everything that has happened. Mama, yes. Good afternoon. Then I'll see you.
Sorry if you get to say, of course, school, government secretariat, cantonment.
She schools at the government secretariat, the one close to cantonment. She left home at about 4:45 a.m. All of a sudden, I saw a group of people rush here to inform me she has fallen into a gutter. I'm told those who were at the scene were hesitant to take her out of the gutter for security reasons. When I rushed to the scene and checked, it was my daughter. She was pronounced dead upon arrival at the Korle-Bu teaching hospital.
Hospital here, some could do on Dr. Shane's you. And ye,
This is really difficult for me because I have only 2 children.
Now, staying with the floods, 4 people on board a taxi from the Kwame Nkrumah Circle to Osu are in a critical condition at the emergency unit of the Ridge Hospital here in Accra after an neem tree fell on their taxi during the heavy downpour on Tuesday. According to an eyewitness, the taxi with registration number GR 2261-15 was heading towards the Akwaje interchange when the unfortunate incident happened. Now, my colleague Gladys Oserudu also went around town and reports the situation was not different around the Korle-Bu area.
Rainy day in Accra, and as usual we are going around town to see what it could cause. You can see right behind me we are currently at Korle-Bu junction. The junction, if you go that way you go in towards Circle, and if you go this direction you go in towards Accra. But really the street is accumulating enough water that will definitely cause flooding later on in the day if it continues to rain at this rate. Well, we are asking the question, what is really coming out of the cleaning that happens every month? Well, I'm already getting drenched in the rain, so let me get off the rain. But we're going around town and we'll bring you a lot more of the sites of the possible flooding areas that we are likely to be reporting on later on in our subsequent bulletins. We are still going around town to find out the kind of havoc the rain could be causing to the city. Right now we are here at Adedenko here in Accra, and this behind me is an exposed electrical cable that is posing threats to residents and children. And just a couple of days ago a little boy was electrocuted by it, as well as a goat. We are coming.
All right, so the next story has to do with exactly what Gladys was talking about. The downpour may be over, but some of Accra's residents are still having to worry about the next downpour. For residents of Adedenko, it's the high-tension cable running through the suburb that has people fearing for their lives. Ifwakwa Harrison reports the residents speak of sparks emanating from some electric cables sticking out from the earth. They say it also sends electric current through the soil each time it rains.
A ticking time bomb. That is what residents of Adedenko in Accra are living with next to exposed high-tension electricity underground wires.
The electric was bombing.
What happened before the electric was bombing?
When the rain was falling.
When the rain was falling, then the electric was bombing?
Yes.
Francis Asari is a resident here with some electrician skills. He tells me every time it rains, the ground charges.
A little boy cruised from church, got shocked here, and the thing just threw him away like that. I wasn't here. They called me and I told them nobody should pass here. Other than that, as soon as they called me, I bring the tester out to come and I test over there.
Where?
Where? Here. Where the cement is. And the whole place was danger. You hear boom, boom, exploding and things. So I was the one who came and separated it like this.
This is not the only exposed wire here. The danger goes down the street to the public washroom in the neighborhood and round to resident Christiana Noy's backyard.
Every week, when they can't twins, they are going to fight.
It is troubling. Every week, the electric lines blast. If we don't keep an eye on the children, they can go there and die.
A closed shop right by the exposed high-tension wires. Residents tell me the owner of this container has not been to work for a while, not since the wires started sparking a few days ago. But not this shop owner, Madam Millie. Even though she is afraid, she has to work.
When
I came to buy the container, the authorities told me they would fix the wires. But for over 5 months, it's been like this. Every time it rains, I have to protect people, especially the children.
The people here are fed up. They've called the ECG so many times. After a year, nothing has been done to ensure the safety of Adedempo residents except for random patchwork.
We've been reporting this thing for long. If you went there and report, they will come and do this thing and leave it like this.
They'll come and do what? So they'll separate it like you've separated it?
They will come and do it like they'll separate as I did. This is my own cable. You can see the cables are different. They are small. The big one is for ECG. Tell you there is no material. They will come and separate it, and they will tell you they are going to bring a material to come and fix it and put it on the ground. But they won't do it. It will be there like this until it got blasted again before they will come.
Last week it shocked one of our brother, small boy. So the other day too, it killed one of goat here.
So we tried contacting the Korle-Bu district manager of the electricity company to find out why the work here is being done in bits and pieces. We were unable to reach the appropriate authorities. Hello.
Sorry, there's no response from this office.
We will try again, but until then, danger looms for the people of Adedempo. If quick action is not taken by the electricity company of Ghana, and we are told that the responsibility lies with the Korle-Bu district, the tragedy here won't be an injured boy. The people would be mourning something more than a dead goat or a dead chicken. Akwa Harrison, Joy News, Accra.
We're taking a break now, but up next we bring you business news, and then a lot later on, the shocking resignation of FIFA president Sepp Blatter. Coming up in sports.
Business news is brought.
All right, it's now time for business, and Abigail Aduma-Quinchi is here. Good evening to you, Abigail.
Good evening, Israel.
Have you been enjoying some relief in your electricity supply situation in the last few days?
Well, a bit, but it's still not
a bit.
That
so
good.
At least you're getting some relief.
Yeah, a bit. At
Okay.
least I'm 2 days on.
The danger typically is that if you say which area you are, then probably the ECG will come in and say, okay, no. So they're going to cut your power. So I'm not asking you to say. But apparently the businesses are also enjoying some relief.
Well, so it seems. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, all right, take it away.
Right, let's take the details now. And we'll start with pensions. About 1.8 billion Ghana cedis has accrued from the pensions contributions of both public and private workers lodged at the Bank of Ghana since the pensions reforms took effect in January 2010. Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Lord Senanu, tells Joy Business the amount comprises the second-tier contributions and investment returns as at March this year.
Is lodged in the temporary pension fund account at the central bank, awaiting transfer to the private pension fund operators for further investment. The contribution remitted into this account, however, has been reducing. The chief executive of National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Lord Senanu, however, maintains there is no cause for alarm.
Towards the end of last year, we also came out with a notice to all employers, reminding them that they had up to the end of the year to register or join second-tier schemes, failing which the authority reserved the right to place them on a scheme without their consent. So as a result of that, a lot more employers have started joining second-tier schemes operated by the corporate trustees. And that is another reason why you will see that the contributions that are coming in from SNIT into the TPFA is reducing.
He adds the reduction in contributions does not necessarily mean employers are no more remitting through SNIT. The authority, however, says it is for now unable to take action against employers defaulting in the payment of their workers' second-tier pensions contributions. This is because of the limitations in the current system.
We have employers covered throughout the whole country. Meanwhile, we don't have corporate trustees operating throughout the country. You know, this whole business of a second-tier and third-tier scheme is a new phenomenon that came up with the reforms. So people are now gradually buying into it. You have some corporate trustees that are beginning to set up offices in the regional capitals as a first step, after which then they begin to move into the district capitals. All this takes some money.
Let's now talk about Dumso, and there appears to be a relaxation in the power rationing schedule in the last few weeks. Several customers of the Electricity Company of Ghana say they have on many occasions in recent days enjoyed more than the 12 hours of electricity every 2 days they have been entitled to. Some businesses Joy Business spoke to are hopeful the improvement will be permanent. The Association of Ghana Industries, though also excited about the prospects, say the ECG should formalize it by making it reflect in a revised load shedding timetable that will enable businesses plan ahead.
The government asked us to reduce our power consumption by 33%, so it affected our 2 mines in a very big manner. But I think with the improvement, it's good for us, because for us, if we don't do more business, if our mills are not running, then we won't do a lot of projects and all that. So it affected us and it affected our suppliers in a way, but once there's improvement, we are happy.
I think personally,
Now, Ghana's efforts to eradicate food insecurity has been commended with impressive strides made in the area of halving the proportion and the number of hungry people by 2015. The country has been cited among 7 others in Africa committed to fighting hunger. Assistant Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization, Bukar Tijani, tells Joy Business Ghana's strides are remarkable.
Ghana has performed incredibly well compared to the 72 countries that have been assessed and that have reached the MDG1 goal, which really is looking at making half the number of people who go hungry. And any country that has reached the World Food Summit target has also reached the MDG1 target. And we saw that for Ghana, there seemed to be a very high commitment, political commitment, and also there is an increase in investment both by government, the private sector, and also producers, marketers, and processors.
In some other news, local SMEs will soon be able to access the needed support as a business networking forum is underway to cushion those businesses. Now, businesses participating in the forum, meanwhile, are being taken through procurement plans and tender notices in order to better appeal to investors.
Invest in Africa, a private sector initiative that brings together leading companies across sectors to work together with local SMEs to develop local enterprise and support investment into Ghana, has hosted its inaugural African Partner Pool Business Network. This forum brought together big companies like Talu, Newmont, EcoBank, and several others to help assist small and medium-scale enterprise in Ghana. Participating companies who spoke with Joy Business have high hopes.
I think anymore we have been supporting local businesses for some time now. In a half full, some time ago, we really did a very massive capacity building for our local business around the mine. And after that, we believe we are very successful, and we are now looking at working with the Chamber of Mines in collaboration with the other mining companies to see how best we can develop our suppliers for the bigger mining industry.
For us at AGI, this is very, very important to us in the sense that our is to give business opportunities to our members for them to promote their businesses and take advantage of the platform that really exists within this partnership.
That'll be all for business. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Abigail Adoma-Quentry. There's more. Israel comes up next with more.
Another story before I bring you sports. Supreme Court Judge Designate Justice Apal says the deceased overlord of the Dagon traditional area, Yana Yakubu Andani, died from a communal war. Justice Apal, who presided over the trial of those accused of killing the Yana, told the Appointments Committee of Parliament at his vetting today, the evidence presented to him, which influenced his judgment, points to a war which made it difficult to charge the suspect with murder.
The Waku Commission that investigated the gruesome murder of the late Iyana recommended the prosecution of certain individuals, but they were acquitted and discharged by the court for lack of credible evidence implicating them in the crime. Responding to questions from members of the Appointments Committee of Parliament, Justice Apal said he considers the matter a closed one unless there are still facts yet to be disclosed.
There were certain media reports which were not accurate. You see, some were saying that Iyana's head was placed on a spear and it was sent to some place. But the fact before me was that when the body was burnt, the head was there, it was also burnt. In fact, the pathological report from 37 Military Hospital by an Indian Ghanaian doctor, Wadwani, was so clear. What happened was that after he had died, and in the euphoria, people were jubilating, I think somebody got there, and when the dead body was lying there, he just cut the head. So at the time the person cut the head, Iyana was already dead. When people die in war, it's very difficult to single out individuals and charge them with the offense of murder. When I summed up to the jurors the law, they looked at the facts of the case and then the law that I gave to them and decided that those people were not guilty. Even one of them was discharged in the course of the trial.
Justice Apal, who currently serves as an appeals court judge and presided over the probe into the payment of judgment debts, says he will be firm, neutral in the discharge of his duties at the Supreme Court and rules out political interference.
George Ado Jr. will now bring you sports.
A lot to the world of football, of course, and that's what we'll be talking about, what's happening in FIFA. But let's start here in Ghana. And Black Stars coach Avram Grant has announced a 23-month squad for the 2017 Africa Cup Nations qualifier against Mauritius later this month. Portugal-based Bernard Mensah has been handed his maiden call-up by the Israeli trainer. Coach Grant recalled England-based winger Albert Adoma, who returns to the squad for the first time since the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Assistant captain Andre Ayew was excluded from the squad as he's recovering from an injury. So now let's run through the full squad. We start with the goalkeepers, Razak Brahima, Fatal Dauda, Enesoa in it. For defenders, there's Harrison Affle, John Boy, Jonathan Mensah, Jeffrey Schlupp, Baba Rahman, Jima Edwin, Daniel Amate. For midfielders, there's Rabiu Mohammed, Emmanuel Ajimanbedu, Efri Akwa, Solomon Asante, Christian Achu, Mubarak Wakasu, Frankie Champong, Albert Adoma, Bernard Mensah. For strikers, there's Asamoah Gyan, Jordan Ayew, Kwesi Appiah of Crystal Palace. There's David Akam, all in that. We'll find out how the Black Stars play when it comes into that. Now we can move into all the controversy. Yes, and Sablata says he resigned as president of football's governing body FIFA amid corruption scandals. In announcing his exit, the 79-year-old Swiss had called for an extraordinary FIFA Congress and as soon as possible to ensure he could elect a new president. Blatter was re-elected last week despite 7 top FIFA officials being arrested 2 days before the vote on the part of a U.S. prosecution. Let's now hear Blatter's final words. Next is who is going to be taking over the reins, and we have slight hints of what's happening right now in terms of tweets that's breaking that Prince Ali of Jordan and David Ginola have both confirmed the intent to stand in for FIFA presidential elections. That will be at the Extraordinary Congress. We'll be having a look at all of that. And the bigger question is, will this have a trickling effect even down to the other federations and even here in Ghana? Talk about the Ghana Football Association. We'll find out. Issa Hayatu should also be in the running. That'll be all for sports tonight. I'm George Ado Jr. Israel will join us with some more. You have a good